Hello, friends. How are you all? Hope you are doing great at various aspects of your lives. Today, we are going to talk about a book that is focused on Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Spirituality is often mistaken with religious stuff in bookish sense. However, spirituality is, in a sense, breaking off from this material world and exploring beyond the same. That is the reason spirituality helps us in performing better at all the aspects of life, including social, economical, and other arenas. Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita is an essence of timeless wisdom, knowledge, and practical to-do list for us. Spoken by Lord Krishna himself, this timeless gem can be our guide for life if we understand it properly. Recently, we are introduced to author Pranay's books looking at spirituality from the management and leadership perspective. The list includes Hinduism, Spirituality for Leadership and Success, Gita, Spirituality for Leadership and Success, Buddha, Spirituality for Leadership and Success, Vivekananda, Spirituality for Leadership and Success, Tantra and Buddhism, amongst others. So, when offered by publisher Fingerprint Publishing about his new book series, Greatest Spiritual Wisdom, we happily accepted the review copies for a few books in that series as well. Today, we are going to talk about Gita and Vedic Wisdom, Greatest Spiritual Wisdom by Pranay. We firmly believe that a book should not be judged by its cover. And at the same time, we also acknowledge the importance of an attractive cover. It not only helps the book to stand out in the display shelf, it also influences purchase and or read decisions as well. Let us take a look at the cover page of Gita and Vedic Wisdom, Greatest Spiritual Wisdom. As you can see in the podcast cover, the cover page of this book uses all cheerful colors. The diamond-shaped frame filled with the red color looks amazing with bluish borders on the yellow canvas. The symbol Om adds to the spiritual vibe. I like the cover page very much. Usually we talk about the storyline and our overall views for the book in two distinguished segments. As the nature of this book is little different, we are merging both these segments here. Spread over in 19 chapters, this book has some fantastic gems to read. Of course, in addition to Gita, you will find references to many other literary stuff in this book. Following his own signature style, the author refers many other modern, comparatively prominent figures during the conversation. It includes but not limited to Buddha, Guru Nanak, Matsyendranath, Gorakhnath, Rishi Dattatreya, Archimedes, Ramanujan, Albert Einstein, Mozart, and others. Quoting some of the lines from the book in the same regards, the Upanishads teach us that nothing can be done against nature. India's great modern mystic, Sri Aurobindo, referred to the Bhagavad Gita as a living text. Of course, the Gita can be defined differently for different persons. The book also does the same. For example, again quoting from the book, the Gita is a catalyst or a trigger to know that phenomenon which is beyond space and time. What Krishna is really guiding Arjun towards is a state of meditation, a state where Arjun's mind becomes completely free from limitations, free from anger, from confusion, from desire, and so on. What Krishna is telling Arjun in the Gita is to fight without ego. It is about unfolding our self-potential in the best way. The whole of the Gita is a resurrection of Arjun's inner power, a transformative resurrection. The author's interpretation is worth exploring. You come to know his perspective when he says, Arjun symbolizes us. This is a very good perspective to look at and study Gita for sure. When you put yourself in Arjun's shoes and try to find answers for the questions bothering you, you are going to get answers from Gita. The book says, just as a bird uses two wings to fly, so too must we use both the wing of spiritual knowledge and the wing of dynamic action to fulfill our lives. The author also talks about different sides of Lord Krishna's persona. I like the way he summarizes it too. The first thing is Krishna as Yogeshwara, the ultimate and most profound master or lord or teacher of inspiring yogic wisdom. The second thing is Krishna as Madhava, the one full of spiritual sweetness, delight, charm, whose nectar-like message is to be heeded and enjoyed deep within ourselves, inspiring and awakening us to the highest happiness, bliss, and ecstasy of living. Some one-liners in the book are small yet impactful. For example, inward relaxation leads to inspired inward power. Leave misconceptions behind. When you want to look beyond the material stuff in search of inner peace and enlightenment, you have to think about the soul, the energy that keeps the life going on. It is not easy to look beyond the material stuff, for sure, as it is the only thing we see, hear, can touch and can work with. Our lives are revolved around them. You cannot identify a life without a body. So, what is the key? How can one look beyond the physical aspect? Well, the author says, the correct psycho-spiritual attitude is of being slightly detached. When you detach yourself, especially in terms of emotions, you tend to get a chance to see a bigger and clear picture. And it applies to almost everything. Dhyan, meditation, or any other form of yoga actually focuses on it and makes you able to extend the boundaries of your thought process. The author rightly says, the highest knowledge is that I am pure soul, formless, pervasive, indestructible, luminous, pure intelligence. The author also talks about the concept of Purush and Prakriti, importance of male and female forms of energy and their union in simple words. He says, all material creation in Hinduism is centered around the concept of higher energy, manifested as nature herself, Prakriti or Adi Shakti. How did Arjun get answers for all his doubts? By asking questions, right? And why does these questions arise? Obviously, because he was curious and keen to get answers, right? So, curious mind is the key. Well, in those aspects, the following lines from the book gives you a thought to bank on. The universe is a mystery. The cosmos is a mystery. But even greater than that is the mystery of its very being there. The book also talks about the illusion of sorrow in an interesting manner. Same we can say about the wholeness. It would have been better if the author has quoted the famous hymn, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. If you want a summarized definition of the Gita or Dharma, the author put a nice summarized context. He says, 5 secrets of Hinduism. Gita is primarily a text on the soul or Atma, purification of mind, body, spirit. Follow Dharma, the idea of Nishchaya, become a Purna Yogi. And the last and the most important point is The whole concept of Indian spirituality and the deepest Hindu mysticism is mukti or moksha, becoming free. All this is good, but if the book doesn't convey the stuff in the modern perspective and in our day-to-day language, it is like reading just another spiritual book, right? Here are the lines I found that a reader of our time will find more relatable. To be an adventurer, risk taker, true leader, or innovator of any kind requires us to step out into the unknown. No matter how tough things get, we can proceed towards fulfilling our infinite potential through such spiritual understanding and enlightenment. The book should have quoted various shlokas from the Gita, which is missing. Also, if the author has tried elaborating the chronology in the same manner as in the Gita, it could have been more appealing. It is a generic spiritual book focused on ancient Indian literature, not just Gita. Also, a few metaphors and stories could have been added to make it a little lighter read. The author needs to focus on making the books in the series even more concentrating on the theme it tries to explore and elaborate, as per my opinion. Overall, an informative and spiritual book focused on Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the lessons we may learn from it by linking and referring to various modern day people, scenarios, and examples. If you love spiritual books, you will like it. It has to be more focused on Gita though. Thinkerview's rating would be around 7 stars out of 10.
So, have you already read the book? Are you planning to read it? What do you think about this book review? Do you find it helpful in deciding whether to go for the book or not? Please do share your genuine remarks via comments below. If you have enjoyed listening to the review, please hit the like button and do not forget to share it with your friends and other fellows whom you think such reviews interest more. Till we meet with our next podcast, bye bye, take care, namaskar.